Hello, 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 and welcome to the Pharmacy Seeds Network YouTube channel. The Sunday night All Things Natural Net via amateur radio and streamed here live on the Pharmacy Seeds Network YouTube channel. TQS is ready for the net. Maybe you won't get to hear the fiasco I was just listening to. Always interesting and fun here.
Clear it out. Thank you, brother. Clear.
Just saying. Hello, everybody in the YouTube chat. Thanks for coming along with me. We're going to bring this net online. Alright, gentlemen. Well, thank you for clearing out the repeater. Greatly appreciated. This is KD2IIN Net Control for the Sunday Night All Things Natural Net. The Sunday Night All Things Natural Net is an amateur radio net provided by the Overlook Mountain Amateur Radio Club, located in beautiful Ulster County, New York, and hosted here on the Overlook Mountain Amateur Radio Club repeater. That's 146.805 megahertz with a PL tone of 103.5 and a negative shift of 600 kilohertz for anyone who's new to the repeater. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. This net is dedicated to farming, gardening, ecology, and the like. This is KD2IIN looking for check-ins for the Sunday night All Things Natural Net.
KD2UAP.
Oh boy.
KD2SQO, Brian. W2RWS, Rob. W2NDG, Neil. KD2 TQS, Ken. KD2 UEN, Bill.
Wow, live net tonight.
KD2 UPY, Dan.
We got a live wire tonight, folks. A live wire indeed. Alright, well that's quite a nice list of check-ins here. The net recognizes KC2 UVP, KD2 SQO, W2 RWS, W2 NDG, KD2 TQS, KD2 UEN, and KD2 UPY. Are there any further check-ins at this time? Oh, nice, Taco. Alright, no further check-ins recognized at this time. We're going to go ahead and get started at the top of the list with Mike, KC2 UVP.
Well, thank you everybody for being on board, and I'm going to do some serious throws here.
Oh boy.
I woke up and my vehicle was missing from my driveway. I've talked to all the major administrations, and they're telling me to look towards a civil movement. They took my truck. If anybody can, direct me to
anybody know where my truck is?
a clear, some kind of understanding as to, I've been raped, is what happened.
That's what I was thinking.
And they want me to go to civil, some kind of civil action. And if anybody can help me out with direction on civil action, I can find it out on my own. But I love this radio, and I love everybody out here. And I'm not whining or complaining. I'm just whining and complaining. KD2 UVP, quiet.
Yeah, bomber. Alright, very good. Well, I hope you find your truck, Mike. I don't know what to tell you on that. I guess I don't fully understand the circumstances surrounding that, but I wish you luck in recovering it. Alright, let's roll on down to KD2 SQO. Brian.
I'm checking in. I'm waiting to hear what's going on and what's happening. Who's going to come up with something for all things natural? Until then, I'm just listening. Thank you, sir.
Alright, very good. Well, thank thank you for joining and participating. I always appreciate it. Let's roll on down to W2RWS Rob.
DJ, good evening. Got two questions. Seeds and soil. So thanks for suggesting Maine potting soil. I got some
Yes, Bomber,
planting
that's what he
spider
said.
plants and this stuff. Great stuff. But I'm wondering, because I bought something called, I'm reading the bag, Hoffman Cactus and Succulent Soil Mix. And it says special formula to provide proper what makes it so special? Why can't I make that? And what kind of soils for houseplants do I need? That's the first question. Second is, let me let it drop for a second. So I went on the Taconic, where that Taste of New York is, and I remember them having black-eyed Susans and some wonderful flowers, something with a purpley pink leaf, a black-eyed Susan only in purple, and some plants with some stalks. And lo and behold, the day I went by there, they're to seed. So I deadheaded them, and I got a whole mess of these things. And I'm wondering, what's the best time to plant them? Do I just scatter the seeds, or do I want to sprout them in a greenhouse? Exactly what the best way of sprouting that kind of thing is.
In utero
So
sense,
soils and seeds, those are my two questions.
We'll get to that, Taco. All right. I'm not too intimately familiar with the succulent plants like cactus and stuff like that, but that cactus mix would be geared to, mimic the environment that those plants come from. Given that that is typically a desert environment, I guess I would look at what, desert environment soils typically have for constituents and nutritional values and try to match something to that. You're right, I'm sure you can make that. The question is, what are the materials you need to do it, and what microbiology is present in and on that. So I don't have a definitive answer for you for that. As far as most houseplants, I'll tell you what, the soil I really like the best, both for starting seeds and for houseplants of all types, fruiting, flowering plants, pretty much anything you want to put in a pot, is Coast of Maine potting mix. That stuff is amazing, and they use a mixture of bark and good mycorrhizal fungi, as well as seaweed, and I think there's some crab shell and lobster in there as well. That is a really excellent soil. The 2 cubic foot bags I think are like $20 or $22 a bag, somewhere in there. So it's a little on the expensive side, but is well worth the investment. I've tried many other soils over the years, and I've never found one that was so good at retaining moisture, so nutritionally balanced, and so successful continuously every time. Their batches don't seem to change. So that's the one I would use. And the only place I know you can get that locally in the Hudson Valley is the Phantom Gardener. So that's that question. This is KD2 and Net Control for the Sunday Night All Things Natural Net. And the other question, I'm sorry, if you could refresh my memory.
Yeah, DJ, thanks. I did get that Maine potting soil, Coast of Maine. It's awesome. I've been growing all sorts of stuff in it. Second question is, I went to the Taste of New York there, they in their flower beds.
Oh, right.
They all went to seed, so I collected the deadheads. And I'm wondering what the best way is to plant them. Do I just scatter them now and let the frost take its turn and then hope they plant in the spring, or should I plant them in the spring, or do they need a frost? They were black-eyed Susans and some other stuff.
Okay. I can't say I know black-eyed Susans that well, but I just did a quick Google search here, and looks like plant black-eyed Susan when soil temperature has reached 70 degrees for best seed germination. In many parts of North America, the planting period is March to May. The flower will flower June to September. Germination takes 7 to 30 days. Plant seeds in moist, well-drained soil. These hardy flowers really enjoy the sun. They prefer full sun, although they'll grow in partial sun. Sow seed in loosely covered soil. It's best if the soil is fertile, though they can tolerate tougher conditions than that. And they generally grow between 1 and 3 feet tall, and can grow taller. It can spread up to 12 to 18 inches. So plant seeds closer to prevent lots of spreading, or plant further apart to make a nicer border. Hopefully that addresses your question. And I don't know what other specific wildflower seeds you're talking about, but in general, wildflower seeds can be planted either fall or spring, although some, like echinacea, get much better germination success rate if they're stratified, which means they basically they go through a cold period in the soil where the seed is moist and in the soil, and it gets exposure to cold refrigerator type temperatures, 40s, 30s even, that sort of range, and then that helps them facilitate better germination. It helps break down the husk on the seed that protects the seed from germinating too early or too easily.
So it sounds like March to May, I should go out and plant them, except if it's that one specific type where it needs the stratification. Maybe I should just keep them in my refrigerator.
Yeah, you could store them in the fridge or freezer. I like to store seeds. I like to dry them out very completely, and then during dry weather conditions or in a dry environment, pack them into a glass jar and keep them in that. I tend not to freeze them just because it takes freezer space, but freezing is probably your best bet if you want to do a longer term storage. But if you're just storing them till spring to plant them, they should be fine just in a glass jar in a cool, dark place.
Yeah, my basement's pretty cool, and I do have tons of the canning jars because I like that spaghetti sauce that comes in those reusable bottles. So I've got hundreds of those. So I'll keep them in the basement, and then when I plant them, March to May, I'll put a little bit of soil over them.
Yeah, that's probably best practice. And I heard a comment thrown in there, so I'm going to go ahead and direct off to the comment.
Yep, KD2 is greenhouse-wise is going to be better just because you'll get things to germinate and all that sooner than they would naturally do it.
Yes, that is true. However, the greenhouse in the spring, if you're not used to balancing starting plants and when to transplant them out, there can be some tricky periods there where temperatures are still pretty cold, or you'll get frosts at night, and you're still trying to protect the plants, and then as you go just another week or two into the season, all of a sudden the greenhouse temperatures start to climb very rapidly. So that's a careful balance to manage. If you are familiar with it enough or have good environmental controls, it shouldn't be a problem, but it's something to consider when starting plants. I used to start greenhouse plants much earlier in the season. I used to like to start out like in March and try and get big plants to go out, but after all the research that I've done and understanding critical points of influence and plant life cycles and that sort of thing, I found that it's better to start a little bit later. You may yield a week or two later, but you're not going to disrupt that plant's nutritional cycle and energy, and that makes tremendous difference on the yield end of things. But that's my 2 cents, and I'll put it back to Rob for further question or comment before we carry on down the list. This is KD2 IIN Net Control for the Sunday Night All Things Natural Net.
One other thing, I've had some great luck germinating seeds with paper towels in a Ziploc bag under the sink, moistened. Any secrets there, or should I be planting them in dirt in a greenhouse?
Yeah, I know a lot of people use that method. I've used that method in the past. It does work, but I have to say, what you really want to do is get that seed into the soil right from its germination point, and a big part of the reason for that is because that seed should be pairing with good biology, mycorrhizal fungi, different types of bacteria, and that stuff should be in and on that seed and in and on that soil right from the very start. That makes a tremendous difference in that seed's viability and its total yield come harvest time.
And you don't have to sit there with tweezers or gently picking them out of the napkin that they rooted into to try and plant them. I tend to break them. I'm a little clumsy. So you know what? It's probably a good idea. Just get it right in the dirt.
Yep.
Biology-wise, I heard that if you're growing tomato plants, you want to harvest the seeds from the tomato and let them rot in a canning jar until it comes really smelly, and then dump all the liquid out, and then take the seeds out. It somehow it makes it more hardy.
that's correct. Yeah, you should ferment them for a few days, and then the seeds will settle out of the tomato in the bottom of the jar. You can pour off that horribly stinky fluid and whatever, little bits of tomato meat there are, and you rinse that off and dry them out, and then they're much better viability and much more resilient and much more immune to fungal disease later on. I don't know the exact mechanism on that, but that is very effective, and that is the correct way to save tomato seeds. They will germinate, without going through that process, but there seems to be much better success and results in doing that.
KC2 UVB confirmation.
Yes, YT, that's true. Okay, KC2 UVP, what's up?
Confirmation. You guys are talking and I'm listening. I'm sorry, I'm butting in here. Clear.
All right, very good. All right, I want to carry on down the list here and get through our first rotation, and then we'll take another opportunity for check-ins, and then we'll carry on back through the list. So, Rob, we're going to come back to this if you want to continue this discussion, but I hope it answered a good portion of your questions, and it's certainly up for discussion as we come back around. Let's roll on down to Neil, W2 and DG. Man, that guy.
All right, good evening. I told you I might have a couple of questions for you. So, we had talked about some of the stuff that was growing in the yard at the new place. I told you I had a blackberry bush. I've identified the two, small trees in the front yard. There was a mystery bush that wasn't in very good shape.
Geeky's on point there.
Most of the branches don't
YT.
have leaves on them. A few of them did. I'm talking about a small shrub about knee height that looks like it just had a very bad year. I did confirm that it's a blueberry bush because it produced one blueberry. What I would like to do is figure out how to rehabilitate it. I'm assuming I should probably cover it for the winter, or is that not a good idea? And do I trim back the dead branches on it, or just leave them and wait until the spring and see what actually grows?
He's very sober.
That's what I'm curious about.
Neil's very sober.
I'll go on to my next one.
All right, very good. Yeah, I would prune back any of the dead stuff, and then I would, see, the pruning should be done. Live growth pruning should have been done in August, basically August, end of July, early August, as this blueberries have this big, massive vegetative growth spurt that happens in end of July and early August once fruiting is complete. And that's the time to do your pruning, and also the time that you could take cuttings and root new plants from it. But the big thing with blueberries is they like a soil pH of around 5.5 to 5.9, I think, in that range. So they like an acidic soil, and it's not so much about the acidic soil as it is about the biology that supports that. But over the winter, yeah, I would not necessarily cover it. I would protect it from deer. From that perspective, and I would not necessarily cover the plant with anything, but I would tuck a lot of heavy leaves or some sort of mulch around the base of it to help protect the roots a little bit. Sounds like it's had some stress this year, and you don't want it to take extra stress through a weird winter if we get one of those temperature swinging winters. I'll put it back to you for further question or comment. KD2 N.
No, that's fine.
They always change color in the fall.
Yeah, I'll have to figure out what's actually dead.
Oh, jade plant.
And then hopefully, if I can make the thing happy, the growth spurt next year will produce some new growth. If not, I'll put something else in there, but I was just figuring, give the thing a chance. Obviously, it's trying to live, so thank you. Next thing is less of a question, more of a comment. I've told you I have some chestnut trees, actual edible chestnuts, and the thing I've noticed is that they tell you they fall to the ground, and either when they fall or soon after they pop. The husks pop open and there's the chestnuts inside. The husks you definitely don't want to handle with bare hands. I learned that the hard way, but what I've found is that my theory is that they're making a noise that only the squirrels can hear, because I never get any of these things. All I have is empty husks. A neighbor told me to shake the tree and get them when they fall, so I might try that tomorrow. But so far it's been an interesting me versus the squirrels event here.
Yeah, I've run into that problem with a number of things. I've had them stealing popcorn, blue corn, sweet corn. I've had them steal pears, apples, tomatoes, down the list. They're quite a nuisance, and they're awfully hard to keep out of an area. I mean, I know you're kind of in a smaller. Well, at least I think I understand that you're in a smaller space than I am. Here, one of my tactics for that is to plant those crops in a field where they have to cross, 100 yards of open field, and then they're unwilling to cross that for the most part because of hawks and coyotes and other predators. So that's kind of one way to buffer them out. Other than that, I don't know what to tell you, but I can totally relate and sympathize with your frustration.
There's a much larger tree across the road down a little ways, and I know the people who own that house passed. There was really nobody living in the house, just somebody mowing the lawn. And my neighbor said he's been collecting quite a few there, so
I gotta find that tree.
I may pop over there with him and see what I can do. Black walnuts, on the other hand, seem to be
they're everywhere.
readily available. The squirrels are taking some, but not all. So I get the feeling they like the chestnuts a lot better. As far as anything else, all we've seen is woodchucks so far. I know there's deer around here, but I haven't seen any in the yard. Maybe when I get the cameras up, I'll start spotting them at night or something. But a lot of birds, though. A lot of raptors. Must be a lot for them to feed on around here. So, I don't know, as time goes on, we'll see. I know there's bears around here, or at least one that people keep sending photos in. So maybe we'll catch that guy at some point, but I hope not. That's about it for now. As I get into most of this, I'll probably be in the
Big
spring.
ball bomber.
I'll report on my fight against the pokeweed and some of the other things that have taken over the back. I'm going to try to beat them off, with a hatchet and a blade next year, and see if we can keep them from coming up. W2ADG, back to you, CJ.
All right, very good, Neil. On the pokeweed, take a shovel and dig down and cut out a good chunk of that main core root. Those things are incredibly resilient to mowing and chopping. If you can mow the area and just keep mowing it, eventually they'll give up. They just can't compete. But they're amazingly resilient. I've had them get into beds and thought I cut them back a couple of times, and I finally had to go back and dig them out with a shovel. All right, let's roll on down to KD2 TQS. Ken.
KD2 TQS. No comment on location activity. I'm sure you can guess that. One thing I will pass on to Neil is I am surrounded by horse chestnut trees, but I'm sitting here and you'll hear something that you think somebody dropped a huge rock, and it's actually just the horse chestnut landing in grass, and I can hear it from 50 to 100 feet away, so I can hear it.
Thud.
And I'm not interested in it. It's not food for me. Think what the squirrels can do when they're really interested in that. And the yard here has got holes all over the place because these guys, there's about 8 or 10 squirrels that just grab the horse chestnuts and bury them. So that's all I have. Back to now.
All right, very good. And I've seen that too, and especially with spruce pine cones, especially up in the Catskills. I mean, there were literally piles of pine cones from squirrels. They had to be like 8 feet wide, 5 foot high. Just amazing amount of work those little buggers can do. All right, let's roll on down to KD2 UEN Bill, and then we'll finish out the list with Dan, and then we'll do an opportunity for check-ins. Bill, pick it up. Hey, Chris, Homesteading the Hard Way. Everybody say hello to Chris. And check out his channel if you haven't.
KD2UEN ID, Bill in Ulster Park, with KD2IIN ID. CJ, I'm going to ask you about mulching. I plan on taking all the maple tree leaves and covering the garden with them this year. My question is in the spring before we plant, should I just turn them into the soil, or should I have to remove them?
Nope, you should keep them right on top of the soil and plant through them. The maple leaves are excellent, by the way. The only leaf that I can think of that I prefer even more than maple leaves is oak leaves, as far as a mulch goes. And that does a lot of things. That brings a tremendous amount of nutrition and organic matter into the soil. Maple leaves especially will help bring worms into the soil, which is excellent for the soil as far as breathing, nutrient and water retention, nitrogen, calcium. There's a whole bunch of things that does. And also all the biology, the fungal and bacterial biology that are on those leaves throughout the season end up on that, on the floor of your yard or the floor of the florist, wherever the leaves are. And those contain a tremendous amount of biology. So when you put them on, you're inoculating your soil and you're protecting it all in one. Ideally, keep the soil covered and protected either with growing green plants that protect sunlight from striking the soil, or with mulches like that. Also on my channel, I have a whole series, a 3-part video series on a closer look at soils and mulches. You might want to check that out as well if you want more information. Please don't mistake that as I'm more than willing to elaborate if you want to know more information, and I'll put it back to you.
Cool beans. Thank you, CJ. Yeah, that pretty much answered my question. I get a lot of leaves here, and usually I blow them over to the neighbor's yard. But I think this year I'm going to use them
Doing
for
okay,
mulch,
Chris.
and
How are you?
that answered my question. So looks like we'll pass it back to you. Have a great night there. We'll probably catch you on the second round if you got one. KD2UEN.
All right, very good. Glad I answered your question. And yeah, if you do check those videos out, I go into a lot more detail about the subtleties of all that, and it might be useful information for you. But man, maple leaves. I wish I had enough maple leaves to cover all my areas. That would really be my preferred mulch, maple or oak, either one or both. All right, let's roll on down to Dan, KD2UPY.
Thanks, CJ. I just love listening to this net because I learned so much stuff. So I moved up to Ulster County from Brooklyn, where I lived for, a long time. And for a lot of that, I was fortunate enough to have a roof, so I got really into container gardening. Let me drop. And what I learned is the most important thing when you have plants in containers is drainage. One, you need a big asshole on the bottom, excuse my language, and ideally just like a screen over it. You can use like drywall tape or window screen. There's no need for rocks or anything else.
Yeah.
And then you want big pieces of stuff in the pot. I don't know what Coast of Maine potting soil is like, but the reason I bring this up is because somebody, I think CJ mentioned it was bark-based. And so the potting soil I like to use in a pot, a container, is 5 parts pine bark mulch, 1 part perlite, and 1 part peat. And apart from the peat, you want the mulch and the perlite to be as coarse as possible, like not a lot of fine particles, and then it'll drain well. You have to provide your own nutrition, which might be in the Coast of Maine stuff.
Yeah.
But you can figure that out. You can use a CRF or some kind of liquid fertilizer, but you'll have really, really happy plants. And that's all I have on that for now. And I just love listening to all the stuff. Back to you, CJ.
Fantastic, Dan. Well, thank you for your commentary on that. And yeah, that sounds like a decent soil mix. And like you said, you would have to add some actual nutrients to that to support it. There are some good liquid nutrients available. I guess I'll just pause and mention the company that I get nutrients from, and I'll mention the more gardener-oriented side of their line. It's called Nutrilive. It's a Nutrilive package, and there's a Grow and a Vitality formula. I would get both of those, and it comes with instructions on how to achieve, how to use that in the correct balance for different plant life cycles. But that stuff is amazing. That's a great baseline nutrient. And then also from Advancing Eco-Agriculture, there's a whole nother line of nutrients specifically targeted for forage crops, for addressing mineral nutritional deficiencies, and also they carry inoculants, all that kind of stuff. They are a really excellent company, and so I can't say enough good stuff about them. So if you're looking for liquid newts, that's would be the one I would recommend. And people have asked me before if there are alternatives to that. Not that I know of. So anyway, but excellent information, Dan. Let me see. I guess it's time to take an opportunity for check-ins here. This is KD2IIN Net Control for the Sunday Night All Things Natural Net. If there are any further check-ins, please call now.
Says KD2 RFI.
Hey, it's Bob.
Here's G2BHM. Nothing to add, just reading the mail and enjoying the conversation.
Yeah, same here, Chris. Sorry to hear that. All right, the next recognizes KD2 RFI Bob and K2 BHM Jim. Let's go to KD2 RFI. How are you tonight, Bob?
KD2 RFI. Good evening, TJ. Good evening, everyone on that. Wasn't sure
Good night,
if I was
Taco.
going to make it in.
Thanks for coming in.
With the radio earlier today. Well, long story short, I wiped out the entire memory, so I'm sitting here hand programming it when the net started. So, but we got this repeater up and running, so I guess that's all that matters.
Awesome.
Doing good. CJ, I've been unbearably busy, pun intended. I just was trying to get a lot of stuff ready. I just had surgery last Wednesday, and so I'm kind of sitting here and recouping for that. It's be like a 6-week layover. So, needless to say, I'm not going to be sitting here too long because it gets uncomfortable the longer I sit. So I just wanted to make sure I checked in, said hello, and whatnot.
Quick update here too, Chris.
I had to have somebody coming in and help me take care of the bees earlier this week too. Friday that they stopped up just to go through them and pretty much, get everything done that I couldn't do. The big part being take off the mite treatments that I had put on the prior week. So I just want to make sure I got that off and didn't leave them sit too long. So other than that, not a whole lot going on. I've been real busy running around trying to get stuff done before this big thing happening where I had to sit down for 6 weeks, and now that I'm here, I got some stuff I'd like to do, but nothing I can do, unfortunately. So anyway, that's pretty much it. Bees are looking good. We're going to be pretty much all set going into the winter. Still haven't found canning jars to get my honey bottled up. I have like 350 pounds sitting on my living room floor in buckets. So one of these days, jars become available.
Oh, I can't wait for that.
I'll get to that, I guess. But in the meantime, I have a little bit of time. All right, KD2 RFI, back to net control.
All right, very good. Well, glad to hear you came through your surgery okay. I don't know what it was about, but glad that you're healing up, and I sure know what you mean. I haven't never had surgery, but I've been injured and had to kind of wait around till I healed up, and boy, it's hard to sit still. I always end up tweaking something, trying to start too fast or too early. Just can't sit still. There's too many things to do, and I've been fairly busy myself. Glad you got some good honey off, and glad you had some help, and glad to hear from you. Glad to hear you check in. Hope your healing continues rapidly and quickly, and you can get back to all the 10 million things that need to be done. All right, let's roll on down to K2BHM, Jim. Oh, I meant to jars. Thanks, YT.
Thanks, CJ. K2BHM, Jim here. Just finished our traditional, nowadays traditional Sunday night dinner from Reginato's, and just sitting back, reading the mail, and enjoying the conversation. and learning something. So, continue on. KDP, Jim.
All right, very good. Well, glad you got a belly full there, Jim, and glad you're chilling out and enjoying. Just one quick comment back to Bob. If you can't find canning jars, I don't know about this year's availability, but I know last year the actual honey jars from the Hudson Valley Bee Supply were not that expensive. In fact, I think I found them to be cheaper than canning jars, so that might be an option for you. Just something to consider. All right, let's just do another quick opportunity for check-in so we don't miss anybody, and then we'll roll back to the top of the list and run on through again. This is KD2IIN Net Control for the Sunday Night All Things Natural Net. If there are any further check-ins, please call now.
K2INN, KCTUP, comment.
We'll get to you in a sec there, Mike. I just want to make sure there's no further check-ins first. All right, no further check-ins. You're up, Mike. Go ahead.
Well, if anybody can hear this transmission, including the moderator, I'm available every day, 24 hours of the day, 7 days of the week.
I am the liquor.
Any jars, I can give. I'm
great,
willing to just give. I'm being
Andy.
compromised in my own life.
I am the
But I've been authorized by my authority, by my authoritor,
My authority.
to just bail out. I'm being evicted after 20 years. I have many things to offer anybody, including labor outside of inebriation. I have many things to offer. Alright, I'm going to be KC2 UVP. I'm going to be quiet again.
All right, Mike. Well, I hope you make out well, and I'll certainly pass the word along. All right, let's roll on down to KD2 SQO. God. How could they not? So they know as soon as they get them. Oh, okay. Okay, Bob, I hope you feel better, man. All right, KD2 SQO, you're up if you're still around. All right, looks like he might have checked out. Let's roll on down to W2 RWS Bob. Rob, sorry.
Thanks, CJ. That
Wow.
supplement was Nutrilive, is that correct?
Yes, that's the Nutrilive package from Advancing Eco Agriculture. And you can buy both the Grow and the Vitality separately, or you can buy it as a package. Get the package. There are 2.5 gallon jugs with 1 gallon in each. That's so you can mix them up easily, shake them up easily. They need to be shaken and made uniform before you mix them with water for using. And I would both foliar and drench feed those onto plants, meaning make sure that it ends up on the leaf surface. And I would do that in evening, late evening or early morning, so that they don't, the sunlight doesn't burn them, so they have a chance to absorb the nutrient before they're exposed to sunlight. And again, that company is Advancing Eco Agriculture. And so I'll put it back to you.
Advanta Eco.
I'll spell it out for you. Advancing, ADVANCING, space Eco, ECO, space Agriculture. Advancing Eco Agriculture.
Got it. A couple of things I wanted to ask you. If I'm planting those black-eyed Susans, for instance, is one single seed going to give me one single stalk, or multiple stalks coming up out of out of the ground as you normally see a clump of flowers, or is that the entire seed head that's planted?
I'm not sure of the stature of the black-eyed Susan because I've never actually looked at them that closely, but I will definitely be doing so next time I see them out here flowering. I'm pretty sure that each seed is one plant stalk, basically, but they may produce multiple flowers. I'm not sure what their flowering structure is, but that flower will contain many seeds in it as a seed head, and you will, if you dry that out and kind of crush it with your fingers, you should be able to get the seeds to extract out. They might be really small. I don't know. Some seeds are super small. I would suspect that those are probably fairly small. I was just extracting some holy basil and sweet Thai basil seed in the greenhouse tonight, and every time I do that, I'm amazed at how tiny those seeds really are. It's really hard to filter them from all the chaff, actually.
Roger that. Got a healing story for you. Now, I had a partial knee replacement, and then I decided to get another one and finish off the other knee because that was starting to act up about 6 months afterwards. The first knee I had done, I was babying it. Oh my God, I didn't want to get on a bike. I was terrified. The second time I did it, I said, Doc, you did a better job. It's a lot easier. And she said, no, it's totally psychological, psychosomatic. Mm-hmm. Basically, you know what to expect now. You know how to push it. And it was true. I said, hey, for the second knee, give me the bike. Just give me the bike. I know what to do. And it was awesome. So if I could apply that knowledge of the second knee to the first knee, I would have done much better. Absolutely.
And did you know that they did an experiment with knee surgeries for knee pain, where they actually they took a group of subjects who obviously agreed to doing this experiment, and they did a blind study where they did surgery on some of these people and not on the others. And believe it or not, the ones that didn't have surgery done also had recovery.
Comment?
Go ahead.
Yeah, KGPHM. My wife has had both knees replaced. The first one she put off and put off and put off and put off and put off until it was well beyond. And recovery was intense, long, and injured the other knee because of it.
Good night, Chris.
And
thanks for coming in.
The experience of the first knee, she did the second knee a lot sooner, and it was a lot easier. So there's multiple factors involved here, and fear is the main one.
Very good. Yeah, certainly having experience in anything makes the whole journey easier the next time around. Sort of like when you go somewhere you've never been and it seems like forever to get there, but when you come back, it seems a lot shorter. Anyway, I'll put it back to Rob in case you have any further questions or comments, and then we'll roll on down the list. W2RWS.
There's one more comment. The reason I also did that the same year, obviously, was deductible because it was all paid up in full. So basically, the second knee was free. If I waited next year, I would have started over with the damn deductible. Anyway, nope, I'll pass it to you.
All right, very good. This is KD2IIN, Net Control for the Sunday Night All Things Natural Net. We're going to roll on down the list to W2NDG, Neil. Jones in
All right, not much else. Then I'll continue to report back on how everything does. I'm slowly starting to identify everything else, mostly decorative perennial stuff. But there are some extremely large lilac trees. We'll call them lilac trees in the back. Have to decide if they're staying or not. W2NDG.
All right, we'll go in there with a chainsaw and cut them all back to the ground, let them regrow. You get tremendous growth out of them that way, and then you could prune them how you want. Just a thought. Anyway, looking forward to hearing how your new property develops for perennials and that sort of stuff. I'm sure you'll have all sorts of cool little plant friends. All right, let's roll on down to KD2 TQS. Ken.
KD2 TQS. Very curious about those liquid nutrients. Are they made from juniper berries? Because I notice you're very particular that it must be served shaken, not stirred. Back to that.
No, not made from juniper berries, but I'll tell you what, one of those little drink mixer shake things would be ideal for blending. No, not made from juniper berries. I forget exactly all what's in the Nutrilite blend, but it's a combination of seaweed, crab shell, salmon, various rock dusts, various enzymes and biological stimulants, and there might even be some inoculants in that. I can't recall on that. You probably could look it up on the product data sheet on the company's website. But incredible stuff. Excellent baseline for growing. And then, I use various other products from their line for addressing specific trace mineral deficiencies or specific plants or specific parts of plant cycles for reproductive growth or vegetative growth or whatever. Any further comments, Ken?
Negative, other than the main part about them served shaken, not stirred.
Oh, certainly understood, Moneypenny. Certainly understood. Shaken, not stirred. All right, let's roll on down to KD2 UEN.
Thanks, CJ.
Wow.
Yeah, Neil, I think the poke weed is edible when they're young shoots. I'm not sure. Maybe CJ could tell us that.
Careful
and,
now.
Is it juniper berries that are an ingredient in some kind of adult beverage? That's all I got for tonight. Kitty2 UEN. Back to you, Net Control.
All right, very good. My understanding on the pokeweed is the young leaves and shoots are edible, but they have to be boiled 3 times or something like that. I would say as a general rule, don't eat those plants at all. Just stay away from them, because if you eat them the wrong way, they're extremely poisonous and they'll probably kill you. So I would steer clear of them. I know there are people that eat them. I'm pretty sure it's a boil and flush out and boil and flush out and boil and flush out type process. But if you're going to do that, enter at your own risk, and definitely do your research first so you don't kill yourself or make yourself really sick. And then the other thing, oh man, my train of thought is horrible tonight. I forget what the other thing you said was. Oh. Frickin' wrench in the gears. Please hold your comment, Mike. Kitty2UEN, what was the other thing?
Juniper berries and adult beverages.
Yes, I don't know much about in adult beverages, but I do know that they're used in cooking, and I know that they make an excellent addition to marinades and stuff like that. I'll go ahead and give Ken an opportunity, because he seems to know more about using that in a mixed drink. So Ken, Kitty2TQS, if you have a comment on that, please go ahead.
Kitty2TQS. Bit of historical perspective. There's a reason that the British like their gin, because those who served in India were prone to malaria, and they believed that the gin would help prevent the malaria, because gin is made from juniper berries, and the juniper berry was known to be indigenous and helpful for malaria. So that's a bit of the backstory behind why Boz likes his gin as well, because the British officers had it routinely when they served. Back to that.
Aha! Well, thank you, Ken. Really appreciate you always bringing awesome information to the net. And so we'll go ahead and put it back to Bill.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ken. I thought it had some association with a beverage of adult choice, and I
Robert
appreciate you
Hayes.
clarifying that for me very much.
Yeah,
All
that
right,
happens
back
fast,
to net.
Robert. All right. right, very good. And I believe Mike wanted to make a comment. So KC2 UVP, go ahead.
Yeah, there's a little lyric out there, a little song that I
Yes, I
drive
do.
called Poke Salad Annie, which goes to the, that's my connection. Anyways, and as far as the James Bond connection, oh, I'm right on
Hey,
that
dude,
too.
what's going on? All right, very good, Mike. Let's see, who else is on the list here? Let's see, KD2 UPY. Dan, you're up.
Nothing further, CJ. Back to net 73, everyone. It's
Yeah,
always
same
great
here,
to,
Bomber. I
just
can't drink
listen
that
and learn here.
anymore. Ooh, once when I was a teen. Bad move. All right, very good. Glad you're enjoying it. And let's roll on down to, Bob checked out because he had to go lay down and continue resting from his surgery. And then we'll go down to Jim here. Jim, your final comments for the day.
Thanks, CJ. Yeah, I think in combination with gin, tonic water, quinine was good for malaria and so forth. So gin and tonic, double whammy. And if you're up for a mathematical quiz, speaking of seeds, if a chicken and a half can lay an egg and a half in a day and a half, how long would it take a grasshopper with a wooden leg to kick all the seeds out of a dill pickle? And for extra credit, how much potential energy is added to the situation from the conversion of the seeds being kicked with potential energy converted from kinetic energy? Anyhow, oh, I gotta laugh. It's been a long weekend with lots of pain and so forth, so I gotta make people laugh, and I don't know, it's just been a weird, intense couple days for me, so I had to end with a smile. Thank you.
All right, very good. And as far as calculating all that, I'm going to hand all that code over to Aaron because that's way out of my league. That's way too many factors to calculate. All right, this is KD2 and Net Control for the Sunday Night All Things Natural Net. I think rather than just go back through the list and kind of force everybody to talk tonight, if anybody has any comments or questions to finalize out the net with, go ahead and throw your call sign out and I'll recognize you and you can make your comment or question. This is KD2 and
KC2
of course.
KJU, Jed, Westerly.
W2 RWS with a comment.
All right, the net recognizes KD2 KJU, and we'll go to W2 RWS with a comment.
Was that me for a comment?
QSL.
So, 2 years ago, I was getting married, and my prospective bride, her brother owned a Triumph, and for 10 years I've been telling him as I made my trip to Michigan, if you ever want to sell that, please call me first. Well, he did. Long story short, I owned it, and I took it to the British Auto Show in Woodstock, British Automobiles, and I discovered, since you guys were speaking about English drinking, why Brits drink warm beer. So Lucas makes the electrical systems in British, and they're notorious for failure. And when I was sitting there with my car and people were walking by it, I heard this joke, I swear to God, 3 times, 3 different people told me this joke. It's because, why do people drink warm beer in Britain? Because Lucas makes the refrigerators.
Very nice, very nice. All right, let's go ahead and just check Jed in here. Jed, any final comments for the net?
KD2, KJU. Not too much, CJ. I just wanted to say hello and check in. And hope everyone is having Having an excellent evening. KD2 KJU.
Oh, TPP is one of my favorites. All right, very good, Jed. Glad you caught the tail end of the net here. And I think Mike had a final comment here, and then we're going to go ahead and wrap the net up because I have to move on to other things. KC2 UVP, go ahead.
Yeah, I've already lost my thought.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody. And just remember, I'm just another dick on the end of the line. Thank you, everybody.
Nice. All right, very good, Mike. Hope you have a good evening. All right, thanks to everyone who participated in that. Greatly appreciate it. Let's see. This is KD2 Net Control for the Sunday Night All Things Natural Net. This has been a session of the Sunday Night All Things Natural Net, sponsored by the Overlook Mountain Amateur Radio Club, located in beautiful Ulster County, New York. If you want to know more about our club, you can always visit our website at www.omarcclub.org. That's whiskey.Oscar Mike Alpha Romeo Charlie Lima Uniform Bravo Oscar Romeo Golf. Thanks to all those who participated. Got a couple announcements. Every day at 8:35 a.m. and 6:30 p.m. the OMARC Daily Net runs. Just come to the net and check in and talk about your day and connect with people here on the repeater and in the club and in the Hudson Valley. Just a general informal net, semi-formal net for those who want to check in on a daily basis and see what's going on. And let's see, Thursday nights at 8 p.m. K2JLV runs the Thursday night net. That is a net dedicated primarily to amateur radio and more technically oriented subjects. Dave runs an excellent net. There's always excellent participation and good discussion, so I hope you'll check that out. And then this has been a session of the Sunday Night All Things Natural Net, run at 9 p.m. every Sunday night. Thanks to all those who participated. This is KD2 saying 7-3, and inviting you to join us again next week. The net is officially closed. This repeater is back under regular amateur use, and I thank you all for your participation. KD2 will be clear. That's it.
Hey, CJ,
Get it, folks.
Thanks for running the net. I don't usually get to join because I'm usually.
We'll see you guys over in the paranormal portal.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I got to hear most of the tail end, and
As soon as I find the out bumper.
Yeah, I'll be more.
There we go.
Participating.